And welcome back. Thanks for hanging around. It's CBTV's High School Football Playoff Show. We're at Dickey's Barbecue Pit at 10,008 South Point Parkway here in Spotsylvania County. They have been our great sponsors as far as our player of the game each and every game. We thank them for that, and we're glad to be along here presenting our program. And, of course, we just talked to Riverbend head coach Tony DeMarco as they get ready for Manchester in the 6A North playoffs. And we're going to continue. George Kerns and David Robinson along with us. The other 6A North was South. 6A South was Riverbend winning, and also Colonial Forge won as well as they blanked C.D. Hilton 23-0. They'll take on Thomas Dale in the next round. And George, in that contest, I was kind of surprised that C.D. Hilton was able to pitch a shutout.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that too. Colonial Forge is playing really good ball right now, and but I look for Thomas Dale to really give him a fit. As a couple years ago, Thomas Dale came up here and it's a pretty good game. So
they're both 9-2. Thomas Dale with a 33-9 victory over James River Midlothian. By the way, for Colonial Forge, McCrae had 68 yards and scored a pair of touchdowns for the Eagles. That's the one thing about Colonial Forge, George, is they have so many running backs that they can go to. You really can't key on one player.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Let's go over to the 6A North matchups now, George, and tell us. Let's go back to the 6A South conferences 1 and 2.
We got number 1, Oscar Smith will be playing number 4, Bayside. Bayside winners 26-13 over Tallwood, and Oscar Smith 21-14 winners over Western Branch. We got number 3, Woodside, 31-0 over Lansdowne, and we'll play number 7, Grassfield, who beat Frank Cox. So that's Woodside against Grassfield should be a really good game.
And you mentioned Oscar Smith, 21-14. Was that a little bit more closer than you thought?
Yeah, a little bit closer. Western Branch is not a bad team. Of course, they play all them beach teams down there too, and it's really competitive down there. A lot of good competition.
What about the Oscar Smith Bayside matchup? Does Bayside have a shot in that one, do you think?
I think they do, but Oscar Smith, they've won 10 in a row. They lost to DeMatha earlier in the year, first game of the year, 42-7. But they've reeled off 10 wins. They've been close, but Bayside's got a shot.
And that's the DeMatha from up in Maryland? Is that the – yeah. I'll tell you what, David, no shame losing to DeMatha, that's for sure. They're always in the top of that Washington Catholic conference that they play out of. All right, George, how about the 6A North matchups? What do we got?
We got number 8, Hayfield, going against number 1, Lake Braddock. And number 5, Centerville, going to be taking on number 4, South Lakes.
What about those two matchups? What do you see?
I see some really good games right there. Both of them, they don't want to look past each other because Centerville beat Lake Braddock earlier in the year, 8-7. That was Lake Braddock's only loss, and so both of them would like to play each other again, but you want to play one game at a time.
Right, exactly. All right, and then the bottom portion of that bracket?
We got number 3, Westfield, and number 6, South County. Number 7, West Potomac against number 2, James Madison.
Now, South County, did they upend Battlefield? Is that who they beat in the first round?
Yes, they beat them 34-12. Battlefield's just had an off year. Yep.
Like I say, we talked last week about we're so used to them being, one of the top 2 or 3 seeds. And, of course, Westfield, I think you mentioned last week, George, you thought they were having kind of a down year as well. But they're, they're a 3 seed. But, again, that's one of those schools where they have so much winning tradition that you just can't count them out any time.
Right. You just can't count them out. They just keep having good years after good years. And it just had a down year this year. And
what was the other matchup we had at the bottom of that bracket? West Potomac, right?
Yeah, West Potomac and James Madison. That should be a good one this week, too.
Yeah, that was West Potomac has played well. I want to go back to Lake Braddock real quick. That is a school, a lot of those Northern Virginia schools, Robinson, Lake Braddock, and so forth, we haven't mentioned, but they've really come on the last several years as far as the caliber of play that they have and also their ability to contend for state titles.
Yeah, it's like I said, the competition's getting better, and more teams are getting a lot better, and it's just hard to contend with doing against good teams. And
what about South County? That's a fairly new school, if I'm not mistaken. They may have been around for more than I'm thinking, but it's in football anyways. I know baseball they've been really good at, but they've come on the last few years, have they not, in the football realm of things, South County?
Yeah, they've been pretty good for the past couple of years. A couple of years ago they faced Phoebus in the state championship, and ever since then they've been doing good every year. But like I said, the competition is just getting so much better in Northern Virginia.
David, what about the Colonial Forge game last week when they blanked Hilton? Were you surprised that they were able to pitch it?
Very surprised. Forge is not quite on the up and up this year as they've been, but they're still an awful good football team, and I was really surprised. One thing I want to bring up with the 6A North, most of the time it comes out of that South Lakes and Lake Braddock. Most of the times that's where the state championships come in, right, George?
Yeah.
And I would be surprised again that this year if either Braddock or South Lakes don't win that side over there.
That South County Westfield game to me is intriguing. I really think that's going to be. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a real intriguing game, and like I said, all these games are going to be really good as we, each week we're getting to more good games and the better teams, and we do have some upsets as we always do, but the competition each week you get more competition.
For those 6A schools are huge schools.
Yeah.
All of them are real big schools.
Exactly.
They have a lot to pick from, a lot of talent up there.
But for the most part, so far, at least in the first round, we've only seen. You mentioned the Grassfield game with Frank Cox. As far look at records, 9-1 Frank Cox against Grassfield. I guess we could classify that as an upset, right?
Yeah, Grassfield was a number 7 seed, but there's so many teams down there that are good. When you got like 5 or 6 teams that are 8-2, and then you got 9-1, 10-0. I mean, the competition is just outstanding down there.
And real quick before we go to break, George, give me your thoughts. We talked to Tony DeMarco with Riverbend. We didn't get your thoughts on their matchup with Manchester. The Bears, 6 straight wins. Have they got a shot?
Yeah, they got a real good shot. Playing good defense, playing good ball. I think they really got a good shot at beating Manchester.
All right, so Colonial, Forge, and Riverbend both alive in the 6A playoffs. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the 5A playoffs, and we've got a couple of teams involved, area teams involved in those playoffs. So we are at Dickey's Barbecue Pit at 10,008 South Point Parkway. This is CVTV's High School Football Playoff Show. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.